In 1540, the Pope commissioned a former Spanish soldier named Ignatius Loyola to form a military company of priests within the Catholic Church. Their chief purpose was to launch a counter-reformation, to destroy the work of the reformers and bring the Protestant churches back under the authority of the Pope. They were named the Society of Jesus, or, as their enemies called them, the Jesuits. In 1825, the Jesuits, meeting in Chieri, Italy, declared their intention to seize control of the Bible as part of their centuries-old plan to bring all the world under the power of Rome. If you study the Jesuits in history, you discover that they operate more like an intelligence community, like the CIA or MI6, rather than a religious order. The information discussed by Jesuit leaders in Chieri was published in 1848 by a former Jesuit initiate named Jacopo Leone. His book was titled The Jesuit Conspiracy, The Secret Plan of the Order. In it, he claimed to have overheard the plans of Jesuit leaders and was compelled to write down the information and publish it as a warning to the rest of the world. Leone wrote specifically of how the Jesuits intended to take control of the Bible. Allegedly, they said, "Then the Bible, that serpent which, with head erect and eyes flashing fire, threatens us with its venom, shall be changed again into a rod as soon as we are able to seize it. O then, mysterious rod, we will not again suffer thee to escape from our hands. For you know too well that for 3 centuries past this cruel asp has left us no repose. You well know with what folds it entwines us, and with what fangs it gnaws us." According to Leone, one of the Jesuits openly admitted that the scriptures do not support the Roman Catholic faith. Speaking of the Bible, he said, "If I may tell you openly what I think of this book, it is not at all for us. It is against us. I do not wonder at the invincible obstinacy it engenders in all those who regard its verses as inspired. In the simplicity of youth, I fully expected, on opening the New Testament, to find there the authority of a superior chief in the church, the worship of the Virgin, the Mass, purgatory, relics. But in every page I found my expectations disappointed. At last, after having read at least 6 times over that little book, I was forced to acknowledge to myself that it actually sets forth a system of religion altogether different." What this Jesuit priest acknowledged all the way back in the 19th century is the same thing that the reformers acknowledged. They noticed that the teachings of the Bible and the teachings of the Pope were dramatically different. The difference is that the reformers chose to follow the Bible, while the Jesuits chose to fight against it on behalf of the traditions and power of the Catholic Church. The view of the Jesuits toward the Bible could be likened to that of the ancient Pharisees 2,000 years ago who opposed Christ. As Jesus said of them, "Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition." And again he said, "In vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men." In 1898, a man named Walter Walsh published a book titled The Secret History of the Oxford Movement. In it, he writes about the activities of the Jesuits in England. He recorded the testimony of a former Catholic priest who told him, "In England, there are a greater number of Jesuits than in Italy. There are Jesuits in all classes of society, in Parliament, among the English clergy, among the Protestant laity, even in the higher stations." He went on to say, "I could not comprehend how a Jesuit could be a Protestant, or how a Protestant could be a Jesuit." Intermedia Partners sold possession of Thomas Nelson to Rupert Murdoch, most famous for his ownership of Fox News. Murdoch is also a Knight of the Pontifical Order of St. Gregory, knighted by the Pope for his service to Rome. Through Thomas Nelson, Murdoch's company now publishes the New King James Bible, and through Zondervan, he publishes the NIV Bible as well. Interestingly, Mr. Murdoch also owns HarperCollins, that publishes the Satanic Bible for the Church of Satan. But are these things just strange coincidences, or could there be other powers at work? We consider this interview with the late Malachi Martin, a former Jesuit priest and author of a best-selling book on the history of the Jesuit order. In this interview, Martin reveals what are said to be the dark powers at work in Rome.
Father, I've got an article here entitled "Two Eminent Churchmen Agree."
Yes.
That there actually is, this is a shocker to a lot of people,
Yes.
that there are satanic practices going on at the Vatican. Could that be true?
Yes. Now, when we say in the Vatican, it's at a certain level. And there's no doubt about it that there have been and still are practices that are formally venerating Lucifer, the prince of this world.
In the scripture, the destruction of spiritual Babylon is clearly foretold. We read that Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities." Do you believe that the Jesuits' Counter-Reformation is going on still today?
Oh, yeah.